Hello? Is it working? Okay, it seems like it's working. We'll see if my voice comes through in a second. Ah, there it is. We got a bit of time. This is also good. This is also probably. Hello? Is it working? Okay, this is probably a pretty good justification also for playing Arena before I start like immediately getting into things. Just to make sure that the audio is coming through so people can have time to complain about it. I forgot to update my Twitch info. But yeah. Ignore all my tabs. I don't know why I moved the whole thing over when I could just like. I really wish there was an easier way to change all these tags. There probably is. I'm probably unaware because I really don't like having to go through and change all these manually. Sure. Okay. Let's. This actually doesn't need to be in the front. Let's play a bit of Arena. We'll play like 1 or 2 games of Arena. Been having a lot of fun with this Rakdos burn deck I pulled out. Also, my flash deck has been doing all right. We are only in plat. I did fall behind because I didn't play it. There was like I didn't play Arena for like a minute. We'll take the flash deck. Well, we'll see. I'm not gonna rush anything if it looks like it's gonna go on longer, but I just don't want to waste a ton of time. If you click end turn but change your mind before the turn ends, you can cancel that by quickly pressing enter, return on Mac, or clicking enter and turn again. Fun fact. We'll play first. I mean, you basically always want to play first. There's like almost no reason not to. Fuck, that is not a good hand. We'll ditch Enduring Curiosity because that's 4 mana, and I don't see we're kind of begging on not getting mana screwed at the moment. So I believe if we cast Growth Spiral, it does just put down whatever the front side is. We can't control it as it comes down. So, because we are not playing it. So we'll cast Growth Spiral. Put this into the battlefield. My turn. I'll put this on the black mana side. We don't have any black mana spells in our hand, but we might need that later because I don't know who knows when we'll draw into their swamp or something, so might as well. Looks like they're playing some sort of Jeskai thing. Either Jeskai or Wooburg, most likely. I mean, if I just flash in... Okay, look, I'll just play a Hydro Electric Specimen. It's probably not the best use for it, but because it is also land, but I'm afraid that if we just insta-cast Brazen Borrow, it's only got 1 toughness, so basically anything kills it. They still much as sneeze on it, and they are in red, so that's a very likely thing they could do. Before you think we get a sneeze card. I think I'm gonna Ashiok's Erasure that if possible, just because Behold the Multiverse seems like a pretty decent, like good card in their deck. It's to draw cards and stuff. We're kind of fucking with them, so I might be able to bounce it. But ideally, if they manage to bounce or destroy the enchantment, because they are in blue and white, if they manage to do that, then we still have an advantage because they had to spend resources. But who knows? Like, I would prefer they not destroy it. Oh shit! So probably got a minus -3 to kill my hydroelectric specimen. Just they can just just they can just do whatever. I can't bounce this. I mean, it comes back with more. I think I'll bounce it. No, I think I bounce it because if we because then just okay. I'll bounce it just because we can't counter it next turn, but they have to cast it again, and they only get two. They only get 2 mana with the plus ability, and then so if they plus, we can put down Brineborn Cutthroat or something. What I'm saying is, I feel like this stalls them more than trying to just kill the thing. If we bounce it, they have to like recast it and try to reset up, even if they get all their shit back. Oh, didn't notice it's Planeswalkers. Anyway, I'll play that. Now we just keep up like Hope Ender Coatl or something just in case. If we can catch them trying to spend all their mana to do something big and flashy, then that's good for us. That's not big and flashy. Okay, I'll flash in Brazen Borrower, which probably won't live very long, but I could really use like an actual card, man. Okay. Blue. Swing. We're kind of, I think we just got a really unlucky draw. I mean, we might have still lost anyway because their deck seems just more well put together than ours, but we kind of got really unlucky there. Yeah, sure. I think if we're lucky, what they do is they try to play their plus, add 2 red mana, and then cast something bigger, and then we can potentially counter it with hope. Okay. It seems like a weird choice, honestly, but I guess I get it because it's going to lose 3 life anyway if they just leave it. Okay, we just want to... Okay, I might want to cast this on my turn. Normally I want to flash this in later, but I'm going to cast it now just because we haven't played a land for turn. And ideally we can try to find a land or something. I'll take an Ashiok's Erasure. Maybe I should have taken the land, but I feel like I'm doing this all wrong. I feel like I'm just not playing super well, but sure, we'll put a land down. We'll put an island. I haven't seen any counter spells from their side yet. They probably do have at least one, but add 2 red. I don't suppose you want to cast like a 9 mana spell or something that I can counter. That's just annoying. They'll probably counter this one. If they were going to protect something, it would be this. Yeah. I don't know. This might be a concede, and then just hope we don't get. We hope we get a better starting hand next time. It seems like some sort of planeswalker deck. This only destroys a creature, right? Planeswalker or creature. Yes, not bad. I guess we keep that. I wish I had enough to craft another Urtai because it's pretty helpful. Add 2 red. Oh shit, yeah, we can't cast anything on the turn because it's Teferi. Okay, back up. So Teferi basically shits on our deck, Teferi Time Raveler. Because it says we can only cast stuff during our turn. So I think we cut back on the bouncing just because I didn't see a lot of creatures. And we want more counter spells probably. Is what I'm thinking. Right? That makes sense. We could also get like Aether Gust or something. Aether Gust wouldn't be terrible. But I'm also terrified of Teferi. Like Aether Gust to deal with Chandra, but I'm not sure about Teferi. We can choose a spell permanent with Aether Gust, which I suppose is not bad. Okay, maybe we just got Thunder Quaddle and try to put like a rewind or something. We might be cutting too many creatures here, to be honest. Might not be the best move because they might just put stuff on the board that we can't block or anything. But I swear my hands are usually not this bad with this deck. I swear I've managed my lands pretty well. It has the optimal number of lands. Okay, I'll keep one in Cutting Night, but Cutting Nightbender is pretty useful here just because they prevent things from getting countered. I'll wait, and then I'll cast Cutting Nightbounder. We'll see what happens. It might get countered, but because they could have Mystical Dispute or something. That's what I would probably put in if I was. Oh no, Bolt or anything. Yeah. Okay. If they play Teferi, we might be in a bit of trouble, but Teferi Time Raveler anyway, because I think that's like 3 or 4 mana. Okay, I'll cast Sea Dasher Octopus. Overgrown Tune. Now, this is pretty good. We're in a pretty good spot right now because we can swing in for card draw and we have a rewind. They try to pull something. The only problem is we should think about really hard about what we want to counter here because I don't want to just counter the first thing we see just because. Especially if they cast a bunch of small spells, but we'll see. We'll leave that. I don't see. I feel like we just wait and then let them look for whatever they want to look for, and then try to cast whatever that, and then we counter that instead of what it does pretty well. Full ass horns. Okay, I guess I'll just cast Omen of the Sea here. This might be a mistake because we left ourselves open for a second, but I guess we'll take another rewind. Why not? It's just a good and annoying card to have. I'll play an island. Swing. Draw a card. So their Wisp, not bad. Although we can't play it this second because our mana counts off. So yeah, so we'll just rewind that. Then we'll save the next rewind. Maybe that wasn't worth rewinding, but whatever. We'll activate this, scry. Select this to scry. Slither Wisp. Really wish we got something besides Slither Wisp. Now we can play this for black mana. Swing, draw a card, draw our Slither Wisp. Doesn't. Do they have like sleeves for like the Tarkir factions? They don't. They're really missing out with like a Mardu sleep or something. Okay, it's pretty good. They spent all their mana for that, so this is where like what mana we get matters. So because we want to be able to cast Slither Wisp. Okay, I'll flash into Slither Wisp now. Why am I hitting all 4 of copies of my Slither Wisp? Okay. Draw, swamp. That's actually not terrible here. We might get board wiped. I don't really have anything to defend my creatures here if something bad happens. But they're at... Yeah, okay. Oh, shit. Yeah. Never punished. Thank you, Mark Rosewater. Game as Richard Garfield intended. Never doubt my methods. I'm actually the best player in the world anyway. Did I tap with 4 lands? I don't know if I tapped. I'm not sure that would have made a difference anyway, but... Does it feel good when you get all your stuff countered, huh? I don't want to play this game. I just want to get my easy win. But you made it. You're the one who's running fucking Ionize. Do we cut Enduring Curiosity to try to put like more counter spells? Because we could just go all in and just put like Hope Ender Coatl or something. All 4 of them. I think we're fine. Well, I was gonna cut something. I guess I cut cutting Nightbounder and then I put Hope. Whatever. I think we'll just run it. If we lose, we lose. But it's a lot of lands. Okay, whatever. As long as we're not getting mana screwed, I guess. I probably could have played Breeding Pool tapped and then played that after. I don't like how slow this is going. Ideally, I'd be going way faster, and building up like a board presence or something just to threaten them because I think their deck is slower than mine in function. Okay, this might get countered or whatever, but we'll just try to flash in C-Dash Octopus. They might be, but they might kill it because they were scared of it. Because how many cards did you? Shocked. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, well, at least now we have Omen of the Sea and Brazen Borrower. And we have, like, some counterspell options. Omen of the Sea. They may also put more counterspell. This kind of thing. Yeah, I'll take that. I probably could have... I'm an idiot. I probably could have grabbed... Well, no, I didn't... No, yeah, I could have grabbed Cutting Nightbounder first and then played that, and then we would have gotten Rewind the next turn anyway. That would have been way smarter. But this is why I'm plat and not, like, top 500. Shock's Erasure. They have to Cleansing Nova, so they want to get rid of it. Maybe I shouldn't have, but... maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have cast Rewind. Well, as long as it's not the other Teferi, we're probably fine. Okay, I might try to bounce Teferi and try to get them to cast it again. Which might not be... Maybe we wait. I think we just wait, see what they do. Because we have 6, so we can cast a Rewind and a Brazen Borrower. So I think we just kind of see what they do. And if we can, we try to bounce Teferi and then play a Rewind or something. Or even luckier, they do nothing, we bounce Teferi. Oh. My answer is that question. The question is, do they have a counterspell? If they do counter this, then we just cast Brazen Borrower to bounce. We adventure Brazen Borrower to bounce that. No, I wasn't calling it Mardu. I was saying they should make a Mardu sleeve. I'm saying if they don't already have a Mardu sleeve, like the Simic ones, like the animated like Simic and Ravnica Guild ones, they should get on that. Uh, I don't know if they actually do. I haven't seen anyone rocking like a Mardu sleeve or like a Jeskai sleeve or anything like for like the 3-color combinations. And I feel like that's a obvious sleeve choice to make, like to program in. Wait, and what's like specifically in Tarkir? I guess I don't really have one because I haven't played enough. I didn't play it enough. I played some Tarkir. I didn't play enough to justify having a strong opinion. Sure, we'll play you. Or do you mean Edge of Eternities? I assume it's either Tarkir or Edge of Eternities you're talking about. Yeah, sure. Ping me for 2. Yeah, I don't think I care about that. I guess I'll play Slither Wisp. Did it do anything? If you're talking about Edge of Eternities, I don't really have a least favorite right now because I haven't had a chance to play it. I don't think most people have. And if it's about Tarkir, I also don't have any answers because I didn't grind enough Tarkir to see any annoying Tarkir cards. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised because they do love their faction sleeves. So especially ones that like have like color combinations that maybe aren't represented yet on the sleeves or anything. Board wipe or something or whatever weird shit. I probably didn't need to. Well, I probably could have cast Mystic Snake there, but they don't know I only have Mystic Snake, so they're pretty scared probably. This might be a bad idea because we might just get our shit countered or rocked anyway, but it's at least annoying. And the mental battle's half the battle, I suppose. And they cast a fairy here probably. Maybe. Ugh. Do I have enough mana to cast this? No. The ultimatums in the sleeves. I actually haven't seen those sleeves, but yeah, I mean, again, it's still kind of weird to me that they don't have like, I don't know, like a band sleeve or something, like a Jun sleeve. Also, we might lose this because I have a ton of land, like no card draw. I'm just gonna cast the fairy in a second. I mean, as long as they don't board wipe or kill like Cunning Night Pounder, maybe we scry into like a something good. Like I can understand not having 4-color sleeves just because it's only like the Nephilim or whatever, but it's kind of weird that what am I hoping for? I don't think so. There was fuzzy here. We might just fuck ourselves over by doing this. But I think we can do better than Slither Wisp here. It's actually not bad because we can get that down and start swinging with it. All right, here's open. Okay, not could be worse. It only does partial damage to players though. We bite the bullet. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think this is it. I don't really have any unless I draw like 3 Omens of the Sea in a row or something. It has to be the yeah. That's the only color combinations I can understand them not having, just by virtue of that, because there isn't, I don't think, an actual like 4-color faction really. It's just the commanders and the Nephilim. That's just kind of mean. If any of the one person watching this works from Magic the Gathering, this is your sign to put it in my Jeskai sleeve. My animated Jeskai sleeve. Yeah, that's I think it's a concede. Like, I don't think I really have anything in my deck that turns this around. Maybe I'll bust out my Jeskai deck later, but I should probably actually read the story because that was kind of a long game. I didn't expect it to go that long, but I should have expected that because there's been a lot of I'm 13. I mean, never say maybe they'll have another great designer search, which I'm pretty sure you probably couldn't win if you were after age anyway. So, I guess never say never. Who knows? Maybe Mark Rosewater will vouch for you. So we're gonna get to the story now. Oh my! I can't drink my water. Search of Eternities, compact me to 0. So already we have a pretty evocative name because we have the monoist, and they obviously believe in like the singularity, like black holes and all that. So the idea of like compacting something to like a single point, or maybe nothingness. Squad Captain Reen. So as always, I'm just gonna look up every name, even if it's like a one-off character. I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's a card. Because I kind of doubt Reen's a card, but well, it's always fun to check. Also, are all the Drix assassins? I haven't checked. Yeah, probably not, but life could be dream. Well, that loads for some reason. Squad Captain Reen's in no mood to be awestruck, but the view from Infinite Guidelines still pins her through the lungs. No matter where she turns, the station's radial architecture and Titanic viewports provide the same perspective, a stellar seascape of pulsating blues and purples, not so different from the glowing oceans he saw in Jaska. I don't know if Jaska's a... Okay, we do know there's other systems. Huh, that's funny, it is still in the Edge of Eternity set. We do know there's other systems and planets, so I think Jaska's just something that, like a planet or system, planet in a system we haven't seen yet. And then Infinite Guideline, I'm pretty sure I'm like 100% sure we got that as a card. Yeah, I think Jaska's just a planet or something we haven't seen yet. And Infinite Guideline, I think it was that multicolor card. Yeah. Also blues and purples. Yeah, that blues and purples. Not so different from the glowing oceans he saw in Jaska. Gargantuan clouds of ice and dust, world break reform, churned by electromagnetic eddies that leave iridescent trails of charged particles in their wake. The view reminds her that the edge is unimaginably vast, and that she is far, far from subterranean warrens of Susur Secundi, from the subterranean warrens of Susur Secundi, far from the comforting tug of its clapping star, and her obligate pilgrimage will take her even further, that is, if she ever finds a half decent ship with a drive and a code book. It's kind of funny that someone describes like basically a black hole is comforting, but I mean, I'm not one to judge. There's a sudden movement behind her. She whirls, sinking halfway to a combat stance before she sees the source. A malfunctioning scavenger mechan trying to eat her oversized suitcase, drawn to its metal-rich contents. That's not scrap, she snaps. The drone cam blinks innocently. Its mechanical mouth parts keep gnawing. She wrenches it free. It writhes in her tattooed fingers. For a pulsing red moment, she visions herself smashing against the station's pristine floor. It does nothing but pulp. Instead, she lobs it gently away. The drone bounces, rolls upright, and skitters off on its many feet. Follow our damned mechans, she mutters as it disappears into a crowd of travelers, always glitching. She heads for Bay 5, her suitcase trundling faithfully after her. So it's actually pretty interesting seeing like a member of the Monoliths just like on a very, I guess, sort of down to earth situation. Like it kind of shows like we hear that so we know the Infinite Guidelines owned by the Pinnacle, or not the Pinnacle, by Pinnacle, the organization. And we know Pinnacle is very neutral, so it's interesting showing that kind of relationship here by showing like a Monolith just walking around a Pinnacle station, and also it's sort of down to earth. Like the Monoliths are like people, and not just like that interact with the universe, and like they aren't just like creating collapsing stars everywhere they go. So here we have this robot, which I believe we actually have the card for now. I think we have most, if not all the cards released. And I don't know if they're all in Scryfall, but I think they probably are at this point. I think it was a white mana. Oh, Starport Sentry, which makes sense. It makes sense as a card choice for being here because it probably would be literally stationed at the Infinite Guideline, which is a starport. Starport Sentry, 1 white. 3 generic, 1 white. Tap another target creature. This ability costs 2 less to activate if you control a creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. That makes sense for white. White just is the color that adds as one of the colors along with green that has like a lot of +1/+1 counters. So it makes sense that I would care about that or reward you for buffing your stuff. You are suspected you're a suspect in an ongoing investigation. Do not resist apprehension. So here we actually do see a Monolith right here. So I'm kind of curious if they picked it because of what's going to happen next. I don't know what's going to happen next, but obviously this is a white card. You can tell because they made the world about mostly white with like black accents. So I mean, the robot's like the one in frame, and then you have this guy squirming. Infinite Guideline is the last stop before leaving the Sothera system, and it shows. Reinsees all species: chitinous, quadrupedal, Eumedian, squat tusk-toothed calves, gracefully gelatinous Ilvoy, even a solitary Drix engineer, slender gray body swathed in a billowing Mobius strip. She keeps an eye out for humans, but not for fellow Monoliths, though she does feel a twinge of guilt and longing when she sees a group of them. They're dressed in proper gravity robes, and in her anonymous motley, she passes unrecognized. Rain's watching for garish gold capes, form-fitting white armor, stiff posture, and haughty eyes. So that would be the Palatinate. She's watching for the enemy. She has to, because the peace between the Monoliths and the Palatinate is a fragile one, even here on the Infinite Guideline, as neutral of a territory that exists in the system. She can taste the tension like fuel dregs. Ever-shifting, conflicting maps hang in the air beside the usual departure halos, and swarms of security drones glide in circles overhead. So this already implies like a bit about the timeline here, because it seems like this is probably before the main stories are happening, just by virtue of they saying it's like a fragile piece. Because in the main story, we see like they're basically going at war. They're like launching ships at each other and stuff. Although I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe it isn't like official yet, but it kind of seems like they're already fighting just by virtue of the Palatinate rolling up and about to like reignite the star. Half the travelers in Bay 5 are refugees from disputed worlds, fleeing with whatever they can carry, hollow-faced with exhaustion. Even those who aren't escaping a war zone keep their heads down and eyes roving. There is fear and desperation all around her, and it awakens the ever-stronger voice in the back of her mind. This is your work, Reen, it says. You drove these people from their homes. You delivered them into despair, and these are the lucky ones. She might be talking about the collapsing of the star into a super void. We'll see. I mean, if it is that case, I mean, in fairness, it did sound like the star was going to go supernova anyway. Yeah. I'm not sure all those cards are on Scryfall. They probably are at this point, just because I think there's been some time, but I believe that is correct. I believe that all the stars are. I mean, I believe all the cards are are here now. Officially, the monastery welcomes all displaced persons to the sanctuary tracks on Susur Secundi, but for those outside the faith who do not learn to venerate the fallen from an early age, a home orbiting a nascent super void offers more terror than comfort. Yeah, that's understandable. Those what the means have chosen to flee the system entirely. Reen can't blame them, not after Jaska. Where do you want to go? The question presented by a cav captain with a vapor pipe strapped to his snout brings her back to present concerns. I was just pausing because I was thinking about what a vapor pipe probably looks like. She waves away the accompanying billow of smoke. Point prime, she says, directly as possible. Again, should I... Hold on. I feel like I should recognize the term, but I don't remember off the top of my head. We'll just double check to make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't remember if there is a point prime before this. Here we go. The Monorist is a congregate of elected monks. The photon car that rings point prime. First and firm and most okay, so that's one of the monoliths like areas. But I think it's outside the system. Monastery is a congress of hundreds of elector monks who administer monolith doctrine and North Star civic direction from the faith's capital at the lip of Susur. The photon car that rings point prime, the first and most holy supervoid of the monolith's faith. The lip of Susur is what remains of the star that birthed point prime. Susurians, the species that divine. So Susurians are the vampires we saw. They are the vampires. I typed that wrong. So this is the Susurian. Like, it's what they look. We don't really have a good look at them because I think the only time we see them is when they're in their armor, but they look very pale. I think they come from out of system. The species that define the first sense of mono was found the faith emerged from the lip of Susur from the gravitationally torn carcass of the star. They're individually massive beings who lens light on themselves and are born with an inherent command over the trembling gravitational threads of the annular universe. So I guess they are just that big. It's not just the armor, because we know the armor can make them look. Do flavor point prime. Hold on. Oh, you're right. Hold on, guys. So I think they are just really big people, but I gotta remember the keyword for flavor because I might need to pull this out if that's not the case. I don't know why my computer's going so slow today. Should be like late work for it. Hold on. Yeah, that's the wrong term. That was the wrong terminology. Computer, please. I beg. Flavor point prime. Whoops. Weird. I don't know if I'm missing something or not, but it's at least mentioned in the Planeswalker's Guide. 0 point, the center point prime, which is reflected in every super void yet encountered. She says directly as possible. More smoke. This time chipped into staccato puffs by the calves' chittering laugh. Point prime. From here, he demands. No chance. Too dangerous. I can take you to the Iliala system main column. Again, I have to wonder because I don't think it's one of the. Yeah, I think this is another planet we just haven't seen yet. Main column. Reen has no time for cowardly smoke spewers. She pushes on. I mean, this guy's getting paid enough to go into your black hole, I imagine. Bay 5 is for freelancers. Bay 5 is for freelancers. Captains employed by no guild or state or corporation. Piloting drive-equipped ships that can roam far and wide between the Eternity columns without lampering onto a Pinnacle ferry. They still require Pinnacle clearance, of course. Interstellar travel without a code book is nigh suicidal. But they're willing to take on longer, riskier journeys, or so Reen thought. As she works her way down the list of available ships, negotiating in the flesh when she can and on hollow when she can, and increasing her offer of monastery credit for each refusal, she feels a wind slowly tightening in the bottom of her stomach. Point prime is far, yes, but distance is the least of the captain's concerns. They fear what lurks between here and her destination. She hears harrowing tales of sliver infestations, Eldrazi contamination, of ravenous void hydras and rampaging clades of Drix assassins. So once again, so the Drix are probably there for the Eldrazi because it seems like they're kind of connected somehow. Not that like the Eldrazi made the Drix or anything, but like the Drix are trying to curb like the infestation. The Sliver being mentioned here is interesting because Sammy believes slivers are fake, which I don't think is necessarily a contradiction because we know characters aren't perfect. So it could be that just Sammy has never seen one or believes them to be fake. Void Hydras. I don't know if we have a card called Void Hydra, but that sounds cool. Rena is a soldier. She knows how war stories swell and shift shape to fill the long silences between engagements. But even if the rumors are false, the pilot's fear is real, and that reinforces a fear of her own. This pilgrimage is a mistake. The reason she can't find a ship to take her to Point Prime is because she should be on Susur Secundi, trading her body in the gravity pits and her mind in the simulacrum, preparing her new squad mates for a fragile piece of shelter. So the gravity pits do sound like kind of like the the Dragon Ball like increased gravity like rooms to like increase your strength. By the time Rena arrives at the end of the dock and the end of her list, she's ready to contact her superiors and tell them so. She'll find ways to make their displeasure clear, yes, but they left her the choice to return. The honest way is to always offer a choice. Once again, I think this does tie into like Black philosophy and the idea of like focusing on the individualism and like being free to make your choices or do what you want. Because like with the Palatinate, you do actually get kind of like the opposite of a choice in a way, where it's like, for example, we see who's the character? The knight from the last story you read, he was basically just like, yeah, I'm gonna die, there's nothing you can really do about it. Like there's a lack of choice there. But the Palatinate does seem to sort of emphasize, at least in a the mono seem to emphasize that there is like a lot of individual choice happening. I believe he was actually white-black. Too far. Yeah, it's Sir Vondon. Also interesting that Sir Vondon, this card, once you'd actually kill him or make him leave to and if you do that, you get a benefit. This kind of reflects how like he seems willing to die and sort of like you don't want to avoid him dying. It's like trying to save him to a certain point. Once he's at the most powerful, you want him to die. Yeah, I know we know they're real because we have the sliver cards, but it's just interesting that Sammy says they're not. Because I feel like Sammy during one of the stories said slivers aren't real, right? Hold on. Back up. Maybe because we have like the sliver mutant, which is interesting that it's a mutant too. But sometimes in movies, slivers mimic the sounds of things they hear to lure you in. Of course, slivers aren't real. See, we know as an audience member, we know slivers are real because we have sliver cards revealed in the set. There's the Hive Tyrant or whatever, which is like a sliver mutant. I saw it was in the preview. I don't know if it's in Scryfall yet. They did reveal it like in the preview. Let me see if it's in the different section. This art is beautiful, but we'll get to it some other time. Well, Japan promos. Okay, well, just trust me. There is for anybody else watching the VOD or something. There is a sliver card. It's like a sliver mutant. It's like Hive Tyrant or something. So we know for a fact there are slivers in the set, and this character in this side story, Reen acknowledges that there's slivers in the set, but Sammy doesn't believe there's slivers for whatever reason. So I'm not saying it's necessarily a contradiction. It could be as simple as Sammy hasn't seen slivers. Slivers haven't reached certain areas, etc. But yeah, it's a special guest card. It's High Pool Tyrant. Is that what it is? Maybe if I type in High Pool, it'll come up. Well, there's also Thurming High Pool. There is also that card, but there's also another card like something Tyrant in one of the videos. So we know for a fact there are slivers. It's just interesting to me that Sammy doesn't think there's slivers for whatever reason, and I'm sure it could come up again. Sammy might run into slivers. Who knows? So interesting that again the mono says like emphasis on like choice, which makes sense for like a black faction to have emphasis on like sort of choice. And once again, it's interesting. It's an interesting take on black that isn't just like make backstabby twirl mustache. Like, not that it doesn't make sense for Black, but it's like kind of expanding on Black as a philosophy. It's like Black isn't just like pure evil, stab you in the back, try to like climb to the top. It's sort of like Black's about trying to like rewarding the individual for individual choices. Like Black does believe in like certain systems. I think people have this mistake where Black is just sort of like inherently anarchist, and not that a Black can't be or whatever, but all the color philosophies, even Red, can believe in like systems to help help get things working. Set SPG. Hold on. So Black believing like a system that uplifts the individual does make sense. And hold on. Oh yeah, this is probably right. Yeah, Sliver Overlord. That's the one I was thinking. I don't know why I said. I was probably thinking of Hive Tyrants from Warhammer. Oh, they brought the ultimatums back. That's cute. Or wait, no, that's from Valkyrie Dragonstorm. It does look sick though. I wish I talked about maybe I should have talked about the art there. But so yeah, the Sliver Overlord, and this is interesting because this one's a mutant, so I don't know if it's like some sort of experiment or what have you. But the small ship in Bay 5's final berth has seen better days, or more likely decades. Its rust brown hull is pocked with micrometer impacts, and its engine pod scarred by something less familiar, a semicircular pattern of enormous striations. Superficial damage, I assure you, buzzes a synthetic voice. The integrity of the hull remains uncompromised. An Iris Mechan. The sort most captains use as a dual assistant, floating forward on a single humming repulsor. This one is about the size of a human head, and the liquid metal coating on its front is now doing its best inspection of a human face. And they just make to make the eyeball concave instead of convex. That's kind of funny. Do we have that? Hold on. Again, we're just gonna. Well, that loads. We're just gonna keep going. I'm going to point prime. Reen says, and by other words, feel wrote as an exegesis chant directly as possible. The mecha blinks its caved-in eye. What serendipity, it says. So am I. The hollow map blooms into the air. Reen barely willing to believe it. Traces the ship's route. A soul stop in the Asaxia system, which again is just another system I don't think we've seen or heard about yet, really. We're mostly just focusing on Sothera. Neutral territory, then an uninterrupted pathway to Point Prime. She feels a curious mixture of dread and relief at the possibility that her superiors are right, that the father smiles on her pilgrimage after all. Is the captain aboard, she asked, nodding toward the ship's open port. It prefers negotiations in the flesh. I mean, I prefer negotiations in the flesh. The captain is aboard, in a sense, the Mechan says. The captain is also here, speaking with you, but there's little flesh to be found in either instance. Reen's skin warms with subtle shame. Not all Mechans are mindless. Some are true androids, their digital consciousness either transplanted or from an organic being or slowly evolved out of cruder code. After so many tours of combat surrounded by weaponized drones, blank, and pitiless things, she forgot this. My apologies, she says. My name is Reen. My name is Too Much Happiness, the Mechan says. This is also not coincidentally the registered name of my body ship. Reen can... Also interesting, it's like represented as just like a single eye, like when it's also part of like the ship's like its body, so you can see them as like sort of like a metaphorical, like it's just one eye or like organ to like the larger ship body. My name is blah blah blah. Reen can think of no other name less suitable for her voyage, but part of her has always enjoyed dark ironies. She puts in her offer. The transfer and contract blink through. Cabin confirmed. Too Much Happiness bleeds. I am departing in 3 hours. The Mechan dips toward her enormous sarcophagus-shaped suitcase, and their concave black eyes narrow. Maybe at its size, maybe at what they can perceive of its context. Cabin space is limited. Passenger Reen, please direct your cargo to the hold. Reen heads up inside the ship before the captain can change their mind. Hurrying up the slightly crooked boarding ramp with her suitcase trotting behind her. The interior is a hubbub of Mechan activity. As Too Much Happiness's various drone bodies make last-minute preparations for the ship body. But she manages not to step on any as she falls through the hollow path to the cargo hold. Before she sees the other passengers, she hears their voice, booming, brazen, human, and the familiar cadence sends a slink of ice down her spine. She rounds the corner, finds garish golden capes, form-fitting white armor, stiff posture, and haughty eyes. There are 3 of them, 3 man-at-arms belonging to the Sunstar Free Company, pride and blade of the Celestial Palatinate. Well, that's not good. Anyway, let's see if we can find the... Thank you for timing out. Let's see if we can find the art for that specific guy there. Sunstar Expansionist. So two mana, one generic, one white. Creature Human Knight. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a land or token. It's an artifact with, yeah, we already know this. Landfall. Whenever land controls enters, this creature gets +1/+0 until the end of the turn. So it's kind of some interesting flavor here, which is it's an expansionist, so they're trying to get this person trying to get more territory for the Sunstar, and it's represented by the fact that it rewards you for playing lands, i.e., finding lands and claiming them, and then whenever you find new lands, it gets more power as if it's like ready to fight for those lands or expand further. I mean, again, this is a pretty simple, like, maybe I should like reattend art history because I feel like I should be saying more about these cards. But obviously, like, this is the main character because this is the only person here. You see their face. Interesting idea, like these little things coming out. I don't really know what they are, but it looks like they're walking out of a ship onto like a new frontier, basically. Obviously white and gold, so you know it's like a white card of some sort. Even like the amount of like a helmet, which looks like it could like function as some sort of suit, like it could open, like close around their face, like breathe in different planet atmospheres. Interesting how like the cape is glowing on the inside, which kind of acts as like a way to like highlight the character, to draw more attention to the character, like because there's a lot of white and gold happening, like gold, white, and then white and gold here. So I guess it's a way to help differentiate the character. You not only have like their skin being brown and like their hair being black, but also you have like this like gold cape like highlighting them to help draw your eyes here, and then like the spear too. These are the butchers who struck the monastery at worlds with no warning, putting peaceful colonies to flame and ruin. These are the interlopers who seized Adegia for their own, who encroach even more closely on Susur Secundi. These are the heathens who would forcibly resurrect Sothera's collapsed star and all the super voids, even Point Prime itself, to fuel their empire's mindless expansion. So it's a pretty interesting description of how they feel about the Palatine. It's always I'm very fascinated about how like the factions describing each other, because they definitely could have just leaned towards like, oh, medieval black line faction and then good choose white line faction, but it seems like a bit more complicated than that, and that each faction has like their strengths and weaknesses as far as like philosophies and how they treat people. These are her fellow passengers as far as Asaxia's system. Reen feels a tightness in her chest, a looseness in her gut, a readiness in her limbs as fight or flight chemicals flow through her. The soldiers are armed in casual defiance of the negotiated peace's technicalities. She sees the iridescent glimmer of sheathed gladiators. She knows they can be deployed fast as thought. Rain forces herself to keep moving at the same steady pace as the men at arms rove toward her. Their unmasked faces are young, smooth-skinned, eyes not yet hardened. They laugh over something with strange bravado. They remind her intensely of her own young squad, and she hates them intensely for that. So I guess, okay, so this is like, they're drawing like a lot of parallels between these two factions too, that the idea that these are not like incomprehensible like monsters or anything, like these are all people. So, and they kind of do that by paralleling them like in a lot of ways, like they have like things in common, like they both have like certain friends and family like to hang out with. Also, this description makes more sense as to why they picked this card in particular, because this card does radiate confidence, because you can see this person's arms are outstretched, or this arm, and this arm is just holding a spear. So this person's like armed, but they're also like very confident. Like their spear isn't like necessarily ready to strike, but wherever they're heading, they're armed and they're very like confident. Like they're so confident their spear's not even like pointed like in a position for attack. And obviously they do have smooth skin and they do look pretty young. One of the soldiers stares at her. His golden chromatophore iris is burning like miniature suns, and for a moment she thinks he can sense what's hidden beneath her body glove. But out of armor, out of uniform, Reen looks noted from the station's countless refugees. She reminds the men at arms of nothing, and they stride past her without stopping. She scratches at the hidden skin of her arm. There's no other ship that will take her to Point Prime. So Reen locks herself in her cabin and determines not to leave it until too much happiness offloads to other passengers. It's a tiny space, as warned, barely room for a cocoon-style bed and wash booth. She visits the latter first and settles onto the toilet. The screen aside from her is set to a mirror, which gives her a terrific view of Squad Captain Reen, shaved head, overgrown skin pallid, and eyes back with exhaustion, taking a big pre-jump shit. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised they're allowed to say like words like shit in Magic the Gathering, official Magic the Gathering stories. I mean, I guess it's very like T for teen, but I kind of forget they can like swear like at all. I'm kind of just used to them. This, you know, this makes me wish that Rao did swear during Bloomborough, because my hot take is that Rao is like would say like fuck or something. Like Bloomborough, they'd also like cute little like stand-ins for swears. They'd be like, oh, Ginger Snap, and then Rao would just be like fuck. She never cared about. Oh, I guess they couldn't say fuck because they can't acknowledge sex exists, but I guess they can acknowledge poop exists. She's never cared about looking dignified. She'll leave that to the Sunstar Free Company with their spotless armor and flowing capes that make them such bright and tempting targets. What bothers her is the uncertainty scrawled across her face. A month ago, that expression was foreign to her. Green sets your eyes in chance. As the flower seeks the dark place of the well, I seek the dark peace within me. As light bends away from the core of all things, let my thoughts bend away from my being. As the super void stills the chaos universal, compact me to zero and let me be still. So, I'm sure this is art of some card we have. Is it? I thought they swore. Okay, hold on. It might be because that caught me way off guard. I'm surprised that I thought they sweared like in one of the previous stories here of this set. I think it's the first set. This is definitely the first set they sweared, just in general. But I thought they swore one of the older. I might be wrong. I'm probably not gonna look through it. It's my. I think you're right though. I don't remember them. I don't remember them. Damn, Magic's evolving. This is the real Magic evolution everybody wants. Let's see. Let's see if I can find. Did I miss it? Hold on. Unless you're multicolored, but 0 point ballad. Whoops. Yeah, I think it is. I actually no. Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember that. I thought they swore in an earlier story, but no, I don't think that. I can't recall. If so, I think this is. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, probably a multicolored card then, of some sort. No, it's probably just not on Swayfall. I'm sure it's been released. Um, So anyway, pretty interesting art. It's pretty menacing. So obviously this is the main character because again, one of the easiest ways to show is like showing the face. Interesting like how like complex like their packs are. Like I don't like their packs have been bulky, but we haven't seen packs like this. But they seem like they could be almost from like different groups. Like this is like more white and like chunky machinery than like the monoliths usually use. The monoliths usually like sloped and like smooth. But this is like very interesting shape language because this is sloped and then this person's like weird cloak thing. I'll look for it in a second. Hold on. Let me just check. I'm gonna see. I probably just hold on. Bup. Did you? Where are you? Brand Sola. Okay, we're gonna do some weird shit. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that could happen. That does happen. Yeah. Well, if my computer ever sits to load. So there's a pretty interesting mirror thing going on where this thing is sloping upward, and then this person's like weird helmet hood thing is also doing the same motion. And again, they really want you to know this is the main character just because like there's like this big white like light coming from behind them and especially over their head. So you look directly at them. It almost seems kind of like these people are like almost in a trance moving towards it because these like don't look like monolith stuff. Like these are like full of pipes and stuff, and then this is like like more like flat like cubic shapes with white and blue. Um, and then interesting that these like form almost like I don't think these are not waves, but they do like form like an interesting like wave effect, like just visually, like almost like this is like because the like almost like the optical illusion of this is like almost like pulsating with power of some sort, like it's pulsating outwards. And here, it almost seems like people are like in a trance moving towards it. So that's pretty interesting, but. And then once again, black, purple, so you know it's black aligned. And this person's like floating too, which makes sense because they have a lot of gravity powers and stuff. And whatever this is like so powerful, it's like literally shattering. It's shattering both itself and like the stuff around it. I could also see like maybe this person floating by and they're just like in shock of like what's happened. But embrace oblivion, huh? We already talked about embrace oblivion before, so short-term creature or spacecraft. I mean, this represents. We did see in like one of the last story, like they do have like a sort of suicide gem to kill people with them. Obviously, black hole, gravity, interesting warp effect. Like everything's being like swirling around this, like it's all being pulled towards it. So even this person's face is being warped. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I already talked about this before, but um. Oh yeah, so obviously you sacrifice a creature or artifact because you're sacrificing yourself. And we do know you use an artifact for like the pact, like to for like the sacrifice maneuver. And they're saying join me in the next journey because you presumably get to the eternity by doing it. Inside the vast halls of Susur Secundi, voiced by 1,000 echo singers, the words of the plummet record make her skin thrum. Here, spoken alone in a cramped washboard, they sound utterly meaningless. But wasn't that how they were first spoken? Not in a washboard, no, but in solitude, the perfect solitude of the faller, as he tumbled past the event horizon into the maw of the super void that should have rendered him down to protein strands. So they're just saying there's like an emphasis on like being a solitude. Like again, I think people have this misconception that black is like a lone wolf, but black is also saying that like at the end of the day, one person like you should put yourself first, and you can only trust yourself to know what's best for you. So this emphasis like solitude does also make like interest is like an also interesting spin on some black philosophy. The father found life, not death, in the long silence. He found peace and purpose. So did you. Reen tells her doppelganger in the mirror, "You just had to find it again." Her reflections eyeballs flicker inside out. "Have you misplaced a personal item?" A synthesized voice blares in her ear. Reen nearly falls at the toilet. "Adjust your privacy parameters," she says, scowling across at her reflection. "I don't want you here." "1,000 apologies," Too Much Happiness says. "Rest assured, I have no visual feed of your cabin, only sound." Great, so now I can hear you fighting for your life. You're taking like a terrible burning shit. A paranoid thought bubbles to the surface of her mind. Too Much Happiness is listening to her recitations, pumping them across the ship to a more spacious cabin where 3 Sunstar men at arms are now drawing their weapons, eager to shed Monolith's blood. She reminds herself that the android mechans are neutral by nature, and freelance pilots doubly so for reasons of economics. "I don't like being eavesdropped on." 1,001 apologies, the captain says, moving her reflection's mouth open. That's kind of creepy, and shut like some sort of ancient puppet. "Between you and me, passenger Reen, I have been experiencing a variety of minor behavioral glitches in the recent days. Perhaps it's affecting my social acuity." Reen recalls the scavenger mechan gnawing at her suitcase. Not only is she making her pilgrimage in the company of enemy soldiers, she's doing it aboard a potentially unstable ship with a potentially unstable captain. "I really wanted to inform you that we're moving into a position along the column." Too Much Happiness says, "It's quite a sight." "It's quite a sight from the bridge. You also view it from your cabin. You may also view it from your cabin screen in perfect privacy. Happy excretions." Don't say it like that. Reflection flickers again, hopefully signaling departure, and Irene says a long breath, thumbs forward, elbows on her knees. After a moment's recalcitrance, she assesses the visual feed from the bridge. Too Much Happiness is rising from the berth. guiding along guided along a massive magnetic gauntlet toward the Eternity column itself. Other ship joins the procession of departing craft, one minuscule insect in a foraging chain. Reen looks out again at star-strewn space, illuminated ice clouds, the smoky pillars of distant nebulae. It's the most beautiful shit she's ever taken. I don't. Okay, this could be. I'm wondering if this is a pun because you could say like she's literally shitting, but also maybe she's like the most beautiful scene she's ever seen, like she's ever taken in. Anyway, then the Eternity column activates, flinging them through unreality. Again, it's actually interesting because Warhammer also uses the same description for like the warp. Not that I'm saying like this is all warp references or like Warhammer references. This is probably like multiple references at play. Like just fast night travel is just like a common stereotype, but the warp is also called unreality sometimes. The visual feed becomes a fractal tumult, infinite coils of color and spiraling. For a moment, their ship is swimming through a sea of their ship. She sees non-count versions of Too Much Happiness pressing in on all sides, each bearing the same distinctive scar on their engine pod, each bearing the same passengers. She at least hopes one of them holds a Reen unplagued by doubts. All this must condense. What happens if you're like pooping, like when they go like when they jump into when they do web travel? Is that like ill-advised? Or all this must condense, she recites, starting out at infinity. All this must be still. The words bounce back to her, tiny and hollow. Reen can't sleep. Crawling inside the cocoon-style bed feels too much like being swathed in impact gel, too much like the interior of the drop pod that carried her squad to Joska's pristine surface. She shuts her eyes, and she sees the moon spread out beneath her. It's a bone white and giving way to calm sea. Waters rendered brilliant and violent by bands of fluorescent algae. Gentle waves dotted with the passage of massive gelatinous or colony organisms the size of cities. Oh, that sounds like a cool planet. I hope we see that in the future. Although the fluorescent algae is interesting because I think that they're not purple color, but there is like, you know, bioluminescent algae on like Earth that makes like waves like this, like glow blue, if you were curious. So it is based on like a real world phenomenon, even if not one-to-one, obviously. So that's pretty cool. If she keeps her eyes shut, she sees inevitably the target, a Palatinate lander bobbing just offshore. It was a graceful tri-wing design, its hull a stark white alloy veined with reddish orange fuel cables, and it carried 300 colonists. 300 citizens of the Celestial Palatinate were flung outward into the void to expand the contagion called Empire. Reen opens her eyes and leaves the bed. 5 strides take her from one end of the cabin to the other. The ceiling, lower than even the earliest tunnels on Susur Secundi, almost scrapes her top knot. She used to feel most comfortable in small dark spaces, but lately they're full of ghosts. There's only one way she knows how to contain them. So, I mean, kind of funny that she used to prefer small dark places because obviously Susur Secundi is going to be mostly like probably small dark places, but also like, you know, like black holes or things being compressed, like are big black objects that are being compressed to a single point. So, you know, you could see that as like prefers like almost like tightness. She goes to the screen and watches for a while as they burrow through unreality, following the path that will take them to the other side of the edge. Even moving faster than photons, the journey will be a long one. She takes a seat on the cabin floor. She rolls up her sleeve. I think it's the first time photons are met. Well, I think the Planeswalker guy might have mentioned them, but interesting that like, I think it's the first time Magic has specifically mentioned like photons. She then slips a pneumatic needle from her pocket and sets it to the skin of her arm. The tiny black tattoo, a style and simplified super voice, nearly finished. Her hand and forearm team with its identical neighbors. Are you an artist? A synthesized voice asks. Reen glares at every corner of the cabin. You said you had no visual feed. I don't, Too Much Happiness says. Earlier I noticed your tattoos are self-applied, and the sound of a needle repeatedly entering the skin is very distinctive. Reen looks down at her work. It's not art, she says reflectively. It's just record keeping. Could be both, but I mean, fair enough. I mean, it's her philosophy. A ledger, Too Much Happiness pleads. I keep ledgers too. Fuel costs, repair costs. These only exist in electricity, of course. I do not mark my ship body. Reed could tell the mechan to leave her be until port, but she's suddenly unsure she can last the journey without drowning in the dark boil of her own thoughts. She hesitates for a moment, then engages. Something marked it, she says. It's a wonder your engine pod is still attached. Yes, it was a wondrous experience in many ways, Too Much Happiness bleeds. The farthest I have ever traveled through the worm wall. I think the striations, we also looked at the wormhole in Planeswalker's Guide. The striations made a new and terrifying sense. Reen has seen hollows of great worms. They're enormous lamprey mounts large enough to shoot through asteroids, and heard tales from old spacers, but she's never seen physical evidence of an attack. Most captains familiar with the Sothera system avoid the wormhole at all costs. There are rumors, though, of the Sunstar Free Company using the outer cloud of debris for weapon fabrication, smelting asteroids and hunting geodes for rare metals. When, she asks, suddenly suspicious, what for? Just 1 week prior to my docking at Infinite Guideline, the Meccan says, I was transporting cloud sculpts to Utheros, securing along the wormhole's edge. When I was compelled, have you ever felt compelled, Passenger Marine? So also, this does confirm that there are like Ilvoy outside of Utheros and the Sothera system. Because they're the ones that Cloud Sculpt. Ring recalls the order that sent her squad to Jaska. Often, too much happiness lowers their voice to a buzzing whisper. It was akin to a distress beacon, but the sender was not in distress. I entered the wormhole to investigate. I think I met a stranger there, and things have been far stranger since. Sequences of thought and action feel inevitable. Do you know this feeling, Passenger Marine? Beckon's word prickled the skin at the back of her neck. If the erratic behavior they mentioned is not the result of incidental damage, but an intentional hack, if the Palatinate really is using the wormhole as a staging ground and seeks to conceal its activities, have you undergone an external diagnostic? She asked with a dry mouth. No, too much happiness says. Have you? Ring caused up a laugh. What? I mean, to a doctor. So you don't think that's what they mean. Have you gone to a doctor? It's clear from several biomarkers that you are in physiological distress, psychological distress, the Meccan said. That's why I'm keeping you company. A passenger breakdown would lower my reputation rank. So it's kind of funny that she herself acknowledges that it's probably best that she keeps talking with the robot, because she's like, I'm not in a mentally good place right now, so being alone with my thoughts is probably not a good idea. And even the robot's like, yeah, I fucking noticed. I'm not leaving you alone. Same reason the monastery had offered me a fucking pilgrimage, she wants to say, and said she draws a studying breath. A little walk might help, she says, sucking her needle back into her sleep. I'm interested to see where you keep your memory cores. Do not let anyone near your fucking memory cores. Irene looks up and down the corridor before she leaves her cabin. There's always an eeriness to a ship mid-jump. Sound and light and gravity become slightly untethered, even within the shielded confines of a spacecraft. She hears her own echoing footfalls before her boots contact the floor. She sees ghostly impressions behind blank corners. She feels a soft pressure at her back, phantom copies of her own legs nudging hers along, as if each step were predestined. There's no sign of men at arms. Maybe they're still braying and boasting, now muted by their own sound-sealed cabins. Maybe burrowing through eternity has stilled their tongues and they're sitting somewhere in uneasy silence. Luckily for her, too much happiness keeps their memory cores far from the galley, far from the bridge, and in a cold storage unit under the engine pod. That's just something that people do with like certain machines to keep them like cool. Because like obviously, if you run your computer, it gets hot. So if you're running like a supercomputer, since it gets really hot, because it's doing like a lot of calculations and stuff. So keep it somewhere cold to help it like run more or better. Or run without overheating. I confess, Passenger Marine, I would not have taken you for a technician. They're speaking through the iris mechan again, floating along over her shoulder. You have an uncommon grace and physicality in your movements. I grew up in variable gravity, she says, which is true, but neatly omits the decades of combat training. Also makes sense because monoist. Yeah, they are from gas giants. I believe that is confirmed. That they're not from. I think they just have an interest. There's something going on with what's the planet? The planet, the blue gas giant. There's something going on with that planet, and they have like secrets there. But there's not the only place they exist. And I believe the Drix are also from Outer System. The Cabin from In System. The Emidians are from Outer System. I guess depending on how you look at it, because they're like seed pod. Yeah, I guess from Outer System. So I guess really the Cavs are the only ones we know are native there. I grew up in code. Too much happiness says. I only recently inherited my progenitor's ship body. Decided to self-delete once there. Holy shit. So AI suicide. I only recently inherited my progenitor's ship body. They decided to self-delete once a year ago. Green pauses, recalling the Mechan's fear of passenger breakdowns. Oh, so they're afraid she's gonna kill herself. I didn't know. My condolences. Too much happiness bobs in the air. I just think this is funny. Hold on. I just kind of mental health day. Too much happiness bobs in the air. What of them, Passenger Reen? Have you misplaced them, perhaps? Reen snorts, and a moment later they arrive at the storage unit. Too much happiness opens the door, releasing a gush of frost. and she steps into a space about the size of her wash booth. The mechan's memory cores glow a soft electric blue in their cylindrical casings, and an interface blooms in front of her. I want metal, she promises. That might be a lie, of course, the same way she lied about being a technician. If too much of happiness has been compromised by a palatinate concursion, their route and choice of passengers are now suspect. The true object of the journey might be surveillance or sabotage, to strike at the very heart of monoism, even to attack Point Prime itself, and whatever her doubts, Reen cannot allow that. I won't let you meddle, the Meccan says, but your unbiased assessment is most welcome. That feels almost like sarcasm. She slides inside the ship's system and starts looking. Reen deals her damage in flesh, not code, but she knows the signs of palatinate incursions. Clusters of viral shards puncturing security ware and firewalls, embedding themselves in the core system with reduplicated camouflage. What she sees here is something else entirely. A fractal shadow of too much happiness's core system that seems to wink out of existence each time she peers too closely at it. An almost organic intramitum. Something grown from the Meccan captain's own code and evolving alongside it. The incursion is oddly beautiful, utterly alien. This stranger you think you met in the wormwall. Reen prods too much happiness in memory core directly at the same time. Do you remember anything about them? I think we spoke of many things, the Meccan says. Many things that are inevitable. Intuition prickles Reen's skin, and half-remembered legends seep through her head, and an instinct interstellar civilization whose descendants exist only in far-flung digital fortresses, which we did see. I think hold on. We did see, like, in the first one. I think we gotta get a name for the people too. I can remember what it's called. Okay, no, solid physical space connects to the vastness of the Var's ancient knowledge a billion times. So is the Vars, but the Var who ran from the Eldrazi, the Var who fled into their virtual world, the Helder High. So it seems like there's almost like a virtual reality like aspect to this plane, like an artificial like reality. Like there's you have the edge, then you have the chaos wall, the quiet wall, and then potentially the Helder High existing on top of the physical plane. Like so that's interesting. Whose power once dwarfed those of the monastery and palatinate combined, whose artifacts are oddly beautiful and alien. This also fits in line with the like there's like a trope in a lot of sci-fi where it's like the ancient like race that's extinct, but they used to be like super powerful and like godlike, almost like the Forerunners of like Halo and stuff are a good example of this. And you know, Magic the Gathering loves hitting all its tropes if possible. She lies, she stumbles into something that, if weaponized, might take the Palatinate's Horizon Javelin that might make the Palatinate's Horizon Javelin look trivial by comparison. Then she hears the hum of a Bladiator behind her, feels the heat against her neck. Hermano was Saboteur, says a brazen booming human voice. The others didn't believe me, but I can always sniff out your kind. Rena has finally found stillness. All it took was the threat of instantaneous decapitation. She knows if she manages to turn around, the last thing she'll see is a pair of gleaming golden eyes. On your knees, hands on your head. I'm surprising. Can too much happiness not stop this? She complies, sinking to until her knees touch the cold floor. I'm not a saboteur, she says. I'm a technician. The captain's ship wanted me to verify a memory. She can't hear the Iris Mechan's repulsor. The hot hum of the Bladiator is all consuming. Tell him too much happiness, but the captain says nothing, and she feels a rough hand peeling back the neck of her body glove, exposing her tattoo and 6 surgical stars. War nodes, the soldier growls. You're lying, Monoist. Ree knows other soldiers will be here at any moment. She knows her pilgrimage is over before it even began. The realization puts her starkly in her body, the subtle shifts in gravity whispering against her skin as the ship moves through eternity, the battering of her heart against her rib, the sensation of a small scurrying insect moving its way up her leg, her side, onto her shoulder. She reaches her ear canal before the tiny maintenance mechan speaks. I am about to experience a lighting malfunction, Passenger Reen, to which happiness says, so faint it can barely hear her. Also, I have received word that negotiated peace is ending. A great atrocity was uncovered. Reen tenses. Then every light in the ship goes out, plunging them into sudden darkness, and she whirls, targeting the startled cry of the soldier and driving her pneumatic needle into something yielding and aqueous. Convex becomes concave. Cry becomes howl. She ducks the soldier swinging blade and sees in a gilded flash the ruins of a gleaming golden eye. It's interesting, like how horrifying, like this, how they're described. she runs. It's interesting how horrifying they describe as like to other characters, like their enemies and stuff, because like there's true of white card in general. Like they try to give like a very heroic feel, just because that's how like white tries to like present itself. So the idea, the fact it's being shown is very like scary and terrifying, like, which makes sense. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's just very interesting because a lot of white factions like try to portray themselves as heroic because they believe they're heroic. So that's how they try to portray themselves. Yeah, but I guess my question is like, does that virtuality sort of exist now? Like, is there like a sort of like weird internet space that kind of just exists within, like, as like another layer of reality almost? Like, is that just a thing now? Or I don't know. It could just literally just be like they're basically like servers, really good servers or something. Monoliths review the dark. Reen has spent half her life in lightless tunnels, and it serves her well now as she sprints to the cargo hold with 3 Sunstar men at arms barreling after her. They're still mid-jump, and that serves her too. The gravity fluctuations are nothing compared to Susur Secundi's unending tumult, but she hears her pursuers losing their footing, slamming into walls, combat wired limbs rendered suddenly clumsy. She can hear their blades whirring through the air behind her, see the wild shadows they cast ahead of them. The cargo hold is open when she skids around the corner. Her oversized suitcase is resting upright in the back. Can you lock the door behind me? She gasped, turning inside. I can't deny my other passengers access to the cargo hold. Too much happiness answers from everywhere and nowhere. It would demonstrate favoritism. And have another malfunction, she suggests, pressing her palm to the top of her suitcase. She splits open at the same time the cargo door hisses shut. But too much happiness has only bought her so much time. She's seen bladier slice through far thicker obstacles. She clambers inside the dark shell of her suitcase, feeling this familiar ridges and hollow. For a moment, she pictures herself disappearing into it entirely, like the follower into the well. She hears a sizzling from the direction of the door. There's a gush of sparks, flecks of light dancing through the blackness. I mean, if the VAR were almost all powerful, they probably could. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. It kind of seems like, because when the last sword story, or the first one, they were so powerful, their technology so powerful, it was like warping reality itself. And it's easy to go like, oh, it's just like the internet, but like, whatever it is, it's a cyber realm that's so advanced that it's like can influence real reality. So imagine if like you, I don't know, copy and pasted like a picture on the internet, and there's the tree that the picture like represented like all actually copied, and then there's 2 copies of the same tree or something. Like, it seems like a lot weirder than just like, oh, it's just internet or like a server. It seems like it's connected in reality in some weird way. And then again, it could just be something. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding. It could also just be like, I don't know, like the same way how like you can use internet to mess with computers, I guess, or like technology, like code to mess with computers and stuff. I mean, the only thing that they could threaten them was the other way. That's true, and the Eldrazi are literally warping reality. It's literally like the thing. So she hears a sizzling from the direction of the door. A gush of sparks. There's a gush of sparks, flecks of light dancing through the blackness. Then the point of the blade itself appears, emerging at head height from a wreath of molten metal. She watches its hypnotic process down the wall, a slow sundering that leaves a glow rift in the dark. This obviously gives like lightsaber vibes. Like, there's probably plenty of Star Wars references here. I'm not saying that their swords are just lightsabers, but obviously the lightsaber might serve some inspiration. It's like pretty iconic, and the way it's like cutting and leaving like molten metal. The places of her alabile armor are still assembling, and the 2 processes are set against each other. The Bladier seems to move impossibly fast while her suit comes together at a crawl. Another point of light appears a meter over. She realizes the second soldier has joined the task. They will breach soon. When they do, she will be a sitting target. She imagines the blade cleaving and cauterizing. Maybe the soldier who ambushed her at the memory core will take her eyes first. Like for like. Part of her craves that death, thinks it might somehow balance the ledger on her skin. The sheer metal of the door topples forward, charging another shard of spikes. The men-at-arms step through, always hiding their little holes. One boom, scanning the dark. Come out, Monolith. The armor seals shut, and she finds her war nodes at last, plugging its static tendrils into her nervous system. So this is how like it interfaces with the armor, like the big armor. So that's pretty neat. Combat chemicals flush all fear and uncertainty from her mind. Only the smallest part of her still craves her own death as the soldiers stalk forward. Most of her screaming for theirs. Heathens, butchers, interlopers. It's the same dark rage she felt on Joska, the rage that carried her through the unthinkable task, even when her squad quailed at the order. The ridge that turned a Palatinate lander into a slaughterhouse. 300 bodies dissolved to bubbling miasma in their stasis pods. Vengeance for every monastery colony the Sunstar Free Company turned to slag. All she could do was surrender to it. Reactivates her gravity gauntlets and emerges. This one's Andrew Marr. I'm in the middle of streaming right now.
Be careful there.
What do you mean? What's in there? Oh, what is it, like a moth?
I had like 6 legs. It was flying. It's kind of big. I just want to see merge. I'll just close the door.
Okay, I'll I don't know. I don't know. Okay, well, is it a wasp?
I don't know. Like an ant kind of. It was really big.
It sounds kind of. Does not sound good. It sounds kind of like a wasp.
It was like black.
Uh.
I'm just warning you so you don't go in there and think that I like.
Okay, because I think the moth got into my room. I think I saw it flying around at some point, and it scared me.
Be careful.
Okay, I'll try not to get jumped while I pee. So here we have Grab Blade Heavy. I'm talking to the. I'm streaming. I told you. Close the. Get out of here. Here we have Grab Blade Heavy. It was a three generic, 1 black for 4 mana. Human soldier. As long as you control an artifact, creature gets +1/+0 and has death touch. It's difficult to dodge a weapon that commands gravity itself. So, I mean, obviously the main character, because it's the one person here. We have this huge suit. Their face and like body's like highlighted by this purple like glow, and we even see like a little bit. Well, looks like a bit like a miniature black hole here. As far as flavor goes, like as long as you control artifact, the creature gets +1/+0 as I guess the idea is that if you have an artifact, it just like is really good at wielding it because like it's wearing like the suit. I mean, I really got to probably do some more art research because I feel like I should be saying more about this art, like the techniques they're using. I guess checking how like this is like all purple, and then when you get out here, it's kind of like a little bit more blue, I guess. And just how massive they make this character look by just having them take up so much of the frame. Their final approach on Point Prime was a lonely one. What unfolded inside the cargo hold was legal combat. Peace annulled, but too much happiness was still chose to jettison the dead and their cargo in deep space. A moving wave of maintenance beckons conducted the soldiers to the airlock. Rain helped push the shadow corpses through. So interesting that that's the Palatinate that actually broke the treaty here, which actually I guess makes sense for like white philosophy a bit because they just feel like she's morally wrong inherently with her belief. So it's nothing they can look past. But that's one of the weaknesses of white as a philosophy. Sometimes they can have a very black and white view of things. They're like, oh, we're just fine attacking you first because you're evil. End of story. Now she sits naked on the empty bridge, cross-legged before the viewport, staring the Point Prime's lightless eye. Her armor is a hulking idol beside her, assembled but empty. They are a good pair. The whole of her body feels hollow. Her muscles ache. Her bones ache. Fresh bruises bloom across her skin, but it doesn't stop her from reaching for the needle. I have never seen flesh death in proximity before, Too Much Happiness says. At last, I did not enjoy it. You get accustomed, Breen says, eyes on her work. This ledger, these marks, and Meccan pauses. Do they represent the fallen or the felled? Both, Breen says, maneuvering the needle, breathing with the sting. A large number of them appear to be very fresh. Too Much Happiness says, with an emotion she hasn't been able to detect before now, something almost like fear. The atrocity that ended the negotiated peace occurred on the moon called Joska. Have you ever been to Joska, Passenger Reen? Oh. Reen keeps her eyes on her work. She has a backlog and trio to add to it. And it won't be long before the monastery sends her back to war. The markings will soon begin to overlap, Too Much Happiness says after a while. What then? Reen pictures it, her constellated body, slowly turning into its own sort of void as ink overtakes skin. Pictures herself disappearing into it. The image gives her an unexpected feeling of calm. I'll condense, she says, and I'll be still, like a black hole. Meccan says nothing. They approach Point Prime in perfect silence. It's not a happy ending, which is interesting. I don't have a ton to say here. just a good. I've been loving the story so far in End of Eternity. Probably like some of my favorite Magic stories so far. Obviously just because the first time they said shit, so obviously top 10 immediately because canonize the word shit. Magic the Gathering. I better see where else swearing next story. Um, and there's actually a lot of main story. Like we're only halfway through the main story. We're only like it's 5. But anyway, that's probably gonna be it for now, just because I don't think I have anything else to say. And normally I would play some arena after this, but I kind of want to play like Marvel Rivals with friends if possible. I don't know when they go to bed. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by to watch, even if you'll stop by only for like a minute or two. I'll see you guys later.
Three, two, one. It's a girl.